Hey, welcome to Keeping Faith. My name is Dave Benson. I'm Executive Director of Associated Christian Schools, ACS. And Keeping Faith is one of our two podcasts. Talking Ed is about more how do we see our subject areas through a Christian lens. But Keeping Faith is for executive leaders, and it's more on organizational faithfulness. How do we avoid mission drift, and how do we keep to our purpose of Christ-centered education for the common good? Today, I'm joined by Paul Thompson, and it's wonderful to be able to hop a flight and find myself in Townsville, in this beautiful city. So welcome to the podcast, Paul.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dave. Welcome to God's country. It is beautiful up here.
Yeah.
Can't complain about the winters, that's for sure.
I think I must have taken 20 photos while I've been here and just kept sending them to my wife, because we used to, as I've said, we used to live in Charters Towers, teaching just an hour and a half west of here. And it's been, I'm embarrassed to say, 25 years. I'm that old now. I can talk about a quarter century. But 25 years since I've been in Townsville, and it was sentimental everywhere. I'm like, oh, is that what Castle Hill looks like? And
yes.
The Strand looks great. And it is a wonderful city, not just because of the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, it is beautiful. Maggie Island, just 20 minutes away, and just 15, 20 minutes from one side to the other. But plenty to do. It's a city, not just a small city. And Townsville's a great place.
And if you haven't picked it up, he's recruiting for more teachers. So this sounds like the start of a recruitment drive.
Yeah.
But awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your role, and particularly about Calvary Christian College and the different aspects of the education group. Just give us a bit of a spiel.
Fantastic. Well, my name's Paul. I'm the principal here at Calvary Christian College.
Can I call you executive principal?
No, actually, my title is principal, and the principal also of Eton College, which is a small school for students with autism. Which is a P.11 school, but next year heading into Year 7, which is
that's a big
really exciting part of our journey. For me, I have been principal here at the college for 7 months. So,
7 months? What am I interviewing you about, man? You're new to the job. It's not your first gig, though, is it? Not your first rodeo.
Not. Previous 6 years I've been at Bundaberg Christian College. So been part of the ACS family. For
on the board as well,
6 years.
Many thanks.
Yeah, serving on the board. And just really, I guess, being new to the town, being new to the college, there's so much to really enjoy. We'll unpack a little bit more today through some stories, but also just understanding. It's a P.12 school. It's just under 1,200 students at Calvary Christian College, ELC, OSH. There's a teaching school here as well. Yeah,
partnering with CHC. We've interviewed Craig Murison as well, doing the embedded practice.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So that's really exciting part of that journey. And also being a college that's connected and is a ministry of Calvary Church is something that's very special, and starting to learn and also navigate that relationship and how key that relationship is here for the college, but also for the church.
I think we might need to revisit that one later, because that's something that many of our schools were birthed out of a church.
Correct.
And sometimes that relationship is now perfunctory, or it's just we share some facilities. Sometimes through NASAB, it's actually become a tension, because like having the having the senior pastor as a chair of the board, sometimes NASAB's like, you're there for education. But when it's done well, it's really good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's really good for you guys. So definitely want to press into that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that certainly I've been very impressed with that relationship between the church and the college, and even just making sure that those structures are in place appropriately, to make sure that school is school and governance is governance. So it's been really good.
And given that you've been in quite a few different school contexts, what strikes you as not unique, because we're all aiming at similar things, but what's distinctive about Calvary? If someone was to come here from a different place, what kind of things might they really notice here?
Yeah, two things. I think certainly one part of it is the lens from a team member or a staff member, and then the other is from a student. I would say from a student perspective, a distinctive that is the appreciation and the honour of one another, of celebrating excellence regardless of what that looks like. You know, we currently have a national champion in athletics, for their age group, 100 metres.
Serious?
Yep.
What time?
10.35 is a PB.
Heck.
So it's pretty quick.
Wow.
Teachers have not won a relay for many a year.
That's unfair. You're going to have to kneecap them or something because the teachers must win.
No, he's off to the US in a couple of weeks, which is exciting. But in terms of that's celebrated, but so are the students who are doing their visual art or their performing arts, or those students who are highly academic. Everything's celebrated, and just students are celebrated because of who they are.
So you mentioned they're kind of finding your genius.
Yeah, so really being excited to observe that and just see that celebration. And then also from a team perspective, just the collegiality and how much care there is for one another. I really have appreciated that and seeing that and how intentional team are to support one another and to honour one another. There's no egos here. It's just, hey, we're all on the same team. We're heading in the same direction. So that's been really positive to see that. Yeah.
And I've heard this phrase, I don't know if you introduced it or if it's something traditional, but Calvary strong. What's that?
Calvary strong, it's something that has been at the college well before me.
Yep.
It's an acronym. I'm still learning what the acronym is.
Oh, it's an acronym. That's a lot of letters to go with. Is it the Calvary that's the acronym?
No, strong.
Oh, that's strong. I think that's unfair to have an acronym if it was that long. But
yeah, no, just the strong part. But really looks at our values before our relationship with God, and then how we treat each other as well. And so that's a really great reminder for us to be able to what does our values, which you can see up the top there. Well done, good and faithful.
Oh, that's really convenient.
It's very conveniently placed. Well done, good and faithful servant. Yep. But what does that culture look like within our team? Yep. And that culture of Calvary Strong? It's for team, but it's also the students, that sense of belonging, where we are strong together in our houses, through our values, and through what we contribute to the greater good of our community. And so that's been really refreshing to see that as an observation, being a new principal coming into the community. And
it sounds like you guys have done a really good job of not, like a lot of modern education, particularly assessment, is awfully individualistic. It's kind of baked in that it's about who's better than someone else. It seems that you've done really good work to help them form a team and appreciate the different giftedness and the giving and receiving of gifts. Is that a fair observation?
Yes, I think that I'd love to take credit for it, but I can't. But
just do. I mean, who's going to call you out right now?
One of the the comments down the bottom. One of the things that has just been really great to see is people celebrated. Our students are celebrated. Even our storytelling through our marketing, we just want to celebrate the excellence that's occurring as a way of recognising our students, recognising our team, our staff, but also recognising and encouraging one another through positive story to be able to go, hey, I can aspire to that. I'm going to give that a go and see where that opportunity and that learning opportunity might take a student.
That's fantastic. So now we're going to get into the very distinctive question, which is ACS is a fellowship, not simply a contract. It's a body. And a body has many parts, and it's kind of the educational body of Christ, if you will. And I've been asking all the different leaders, what part of the body are you? Now, I had a suspicion where you were going to go. I'm not going to give a spoiler here. I had a suspicion because Craig over at Nambour Christian College said that they're the mullet. And I must say, I have noticed some fantastic mustaches, including that little flavour saver above your top lip there. I've seen some good mustaches. Gavin, who works with Eton College.
Yeah, that's impressive.
He's got handlebars. You could ride a motorbike. But it's not the mustache.
No, it's
as impressive as they are.
Yeah.
What's the body part that you think Calvary is?
Before I talk about the body part, I think it's important to recognise that Calvary Christian College is one of the first, if not the first, Christian school. Yeah. We are 48 years old. So I thought
out of a church that is
over 100 years.
I mean, this is a rarity in Australia. If you're in the UK, they're like sneeze and 100 years has happened, but in Australia, that's old.
Yeah, the pioneering spirit in Calvary, and that that generation of pioneers to set the school up, and then to have that privilege to lead that. It's certainly very special to me.
So let's get into some challenges and some opportunities. So firstly, challenges. It's challenging times in Christian education. In one sense, there's huge opportunities, much to celebrate. But what would be one of the biggest challenges that you guys are facing at the moment? Not just in general, but something where you feel it's tempting you to mission drift, where it's hard to keep faith, where if you weren't intentional, it would drift. And what kind of wisdom do you have for facing that challenge well?
Yeah, okay. I think that there's two aspects to that. Number one is, as an organisation, how clear are we on what we believe? And I think that clear is actually kind, and that can that answer can actually solidify your position. And if it's not for people, okay, that's
they can work it out quickly rather than kind of floating around.
Right. I didn't realise I was signing up for that. So, as an example, when we're doing an enrolment interview, we will ask the parents, you understand we're a Christian school. We will pray with the children. They'll hear the gospel of Jesus. They'll have the gospel presented to them. Questions of faith, that's a personal decision. But that's certainly, that's what it means to be part of a Christian school. Are you in support of that?
Yeah.
So having that clarity up front with the supporting documentation is something that I believe is important, and that will help protect that drift. And so that's probably where we're at, to just improve in a few areas there, which we've been working on. I think in terms of temptation of drift is, being in a regional area, that recruitment is only exacerbated in terms of getting good staff who love Jesus. And so
that's that Venn diagram, isn't it? You want an excellent teacher and you want someone who's mature as a Christian, and in the overlap, you're after someone who's both. That's hard to find anywhere.
It is, but
even harder sometimes in a regional setting.
Correct, it is. And regional, being in a regional area, it is so different to the city. And that's just a fact. And until you've experienced being in a region, not by being honest, the poor regions, it's just different. And so you just have to look at things differently. And there can be the temptation just to drift in terms of employment. I think that's the biggest one. But then also being really intentional with what does it mean to be good, well done, good and faithful servant. What does that look like? We can just assume that's no. And the challenge is to make sure that we don't drift in our teaching explicitly. What does this look like as well? So there's a few things that you just have to be intentional about. So
I want to raise one that if you don't like the question and you don't want to speak to it, we can edit this out.
Yep.
But we were chatting about this last night. In some of our networks, thinking of CSA as well, ACS is slightly different in this, but the ideal is to have all Christian teachers, and ideally even more mature Christian teachers. The reality is everyone's on a journey.
Yep.
But there's probably a number of people who maybe in a way that evangelicals would define Christian, they may not quite be there. They're obviously open, understand.
Yeah.
Now, some would automatically see that as mission drift to appoint anyone who is not a card-carrying evangelical or whatever, and to appoint someone who maybe hasn't had a clear profession of faith or doesn't fully understand it, that they would see that that's mission drift. But it's interesting that we have open enrolment for students. So it's like we're saying we want all the teachers to be Christian, but we're fine for the students not necessarily to be. How do you navigate that? Is it something you just make a concession to when you have to get an appointment? You literally legally have to have someone in the classroom and we've chosen the best out of the group we can? Or do you actually see it in a missional sense?
It's a great question. I think there's an aspect of when we're interviewing, like the discernment that needs to be had when we're talking about questions of faith and that understanding.
And you're explicit with them as you are with the parents in the enrollment.
That's right. So. That's right. And I think that we are all on a journey regardless. And I'm reminded of doing a PD a few years ago that Craig Murison
He's got 3 shout-outs.
Yeah,
I feel like we're generating business. He should pay us royalties.
Yeah. He just talked about that literature on wells and fences. Are we building wells or are we building fences? And, people, if we're facing towards Jesus and going towards him, we're, heaven's our ultimate destination. And so it's easy to work out whether or not someone's on that journey of faith and navigate that as best we can. There is that tension point, but I'm also wanting to make sure we get the right people as well. So I think from being clear with employing Christians is something that is important.
You don't want to sell a farm.
The definition of what that looks like can look different. You could argue. But that's, I guess, part of hearing the heart of the person. And some people can really clearly articulate. Doesn't mean they have faith, but they're very good at their words. I think we just got to go from a non-judgmental perspective to see, okay, is Jesus at work in their hearts and in their lives? So are they moving towards Christ? Or are they moving away? And you could have someone who said, yeah, I'm a Christian, but actually they're moving away. Yeah.
And a year after employing them, things have fallen apart and they're like,
Yeah. And I think that from we are very overt with who we are in terms of some of those practices with devotions, with prayer. If you were uncomfortable with that, it would actually be a challenging place to work.
You wouldn't stick around. And if you do, you'll be transformed.
Yeah, that's right. And so there's an openness on that journey. So
just as encouragement.
It's an interesting one. Yeah.
Just as encouragement. I chatted with one of your teachers who come up afterwards from one of the PD sessions, and they've been here for quite a number of years in the arts area. And I'm pretty sure they were saying that it was a number of years back. They weren't Christian when they started working here a number of years back. It was before your time, whoever appointed, but they were obviously open. They're now a highly committed Christian and very mature in their faith. And she said, if it wasn't for the environment of Calvary, I wouldn't be following Christ today. That's an interesting thing.
It is. It is an interesting.
It's a missional community, not just for the students. It's a missional community that's forming the teachers as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully for them all to move more Christ-like. And you'll employ where you can.
Yeah.
But equally, you're looking for people that Jesus would have chosen.
That's right. And I think in the same way that we see at church every Sunday, that opportunity for people to give their heart to the Lord. The other day we had 38 baptisms at church.
So there's something really happening at the moment, isn't
fantastic. It's fantastic. And so that conversion experience looks different for each person. And I think that aspect of pointing people to Jesus and then guiding on that journey, that's probably the feel or the heartbeat of it. We're clear with what we believe. We're making it clearer. And certainly our practices are very overtly Christian. And, the culture within the team, people will be praying for each other and helping and guiding. And it's great.
And provocatively put, and you're in good company. Jesus didn't appoint any Christians in the apostles. So anyway, we'll leave that one. So second one then, the flip side of that coin, we talked about challenges, but what are some of the most exciting opportunities at the moment? Not just in general in education, though there's opportunities and there's growth within Christian schooling, but opportunities to do what we're called to do, which in ACS we're framing as Christ-centered education for the common good. Not just for Christians or Christian families, but a common good that blesses all and even flows beyond the school to the wider community. What are the opportunities and how are you stewarding them?
I think the opportunities that we have as a school is, given that, being a new leader in the school, I'm looking at all of our curriculum, our
fresh eyes
learning. It's fresh eyes coming in. What are those cultural things that we do well? All of those types of things to be able to shape a bit of a school improvement journey. So for us as a school, we have, there are aspects where some things we're doing really well in and other areas that we're not doing as well in. And so how are we addressing those? So I guess the the greatest opportunity that I see within our school at the moment is to be able to build a school improvement journey and a plan that ultimately the goal is to improve our students' learning outcomes. And to be able to align that into all that we do, whether it be our documentation, whether it be our policy, whether it be our activities, let's be really strategic in shaping the child. I don't want to have our students have opportunities robbed of them because we haven't given them a learning opportunity that might provoke a new line of thought or a new passion that actually stops them from fulfilling God's best and potential. You know, as an example, we've got set planning coming up for our Year 10 students. We might have a student that is on the edge of whether or not they go down a general path or an applied path, so a university path or a more vocational path. I don't want to give our students who are 15 or 16 pigeonhole them into. They may not yet be ready. However, they might be prepared to work hard in Year 11, but we're viewing them as a Year 10 student now. I would rather keep those opportunities wide and journey with them in Year 11 and 12, because it might not be that they peak until Year 12, but if we've put them on a easier pathway that's actually robbing them of a potential future job, then that's actually the wrong thing for us to do. And so I'm keen to make sure that we're encouraging our students to make the best decision for them, but for their future selves. So that's a really exciting opportunity, and all the work that we're doing in that space of school improvement is around our teaching and learning, our curriculum, our reporting. What is it that we're doing, and really help shaping what are our non-negotiables. You know, today after your session, some conversations around, well, do we have a school prayer? No, we don't. Hey, that would be a really cool opportunity. Maybe it's that, what do we do before every test? Is there a prayer that we pray with our students to help guide them in for their test and their exam? Yes or no? The answer is no at the moment. Maybe that's a consistent approach that we can have to help them have a greater understanding of God and of Jesus in the space of their learning. So some really great opportunities for us to really Calvary-ize who we are and what does education look like, what does teaching and learning look like, which is very exciting for us. I'm excited by it, and I guess coming in new, been very impressed with the professionalism and also the desire to have clarity, to see where we're going and to go on that journey of consistency with the students having the ultimate success because their outcomes have improved. So that's very exciting.
And helping the students know who they are, know where they're going, where their gifts are, helping the school be healthy. All those things do ultimately serve the common good because it affects their life, their family's life, where they head into, how they use their gifts in the future. Thinking explicitly, though, of the surrounding community.
Yes.
Where do you see the opportunities for your school to overflow in blessing for the wider community, for the common good?
Yeah. Well, certainly, we want to make sure that the students that graduate here go on to greater careers that then feed back into the Townsville community. One of our
because it's an area where people can often leave.
It is,
and that's fine. But also
there's a lot that hang around too. We've got some
probably increasingly.
Well, we've got some students in our primary school. They're actually third generation Calvary. Like their grandparents and parents went to Calvary Christian College.
Well,
so that's pretty cool. Like that's a really nice heritage. So and then obviously that connection between the church and the school is great. Ultimately, the goal, I guess, from the greater good within our church community is certainly to make sure that our church is thriving, but so are the other churches because of the impact of what's happening. So I think that's really important, and the message that they might hear at a chapel to make sure that encouragement then goes into their churches. also just that trying to make connections with other schools and leaders in other schools. There's a bit of that happening, which is great. But I think that there's an aspect where things can happen organically, but we can also be intentional with what that looks like as well. Ultimately, I want to make sure if a student is going into medicine or into carpentry or into accountancy, that they are equipped to do the very best that they can, but that we get them the best lawyers, the best doctors, the best whatever.
And that builds society.
It does go into society, but then it also feeds back into the church as well, and that aspect of excellence. And then I guess from a selfish perspective, the tithing component back into the church for the church to be able to reach more people as well through their different mission components. And partial care of the broader community as well.
This is probably a good point to get into that question of the church. If you watch back through the podcast with Paul Sterling over at Genesis, we talked about lemonade on the porch, and I've shared through the ACS Together app some of the slides from a session I was doing with them on serving sour and sweet lemonade. How do we be refreshing? But the whole imagery of lemonade on the porch is basically saying there's, just like in the American kind of house, there's people on the street, there's people in the house, and there's a porch as an in-between, a third place. And the people in the street may not want to come into the house, but if there's good lemonade on the porch, they might come around for a conversation. And Tim Keller and Simon Smart and other people have said the Christian school is an amazing third place for people who are nervous about church, but for them to encounter the kingdom. That's incredible. But that presumes that the school is not trying to be the culture, nor be the church. It's a bridge. So could you share a bit of wisdom of what works and what doesn't work and how you try and navigate this relationship with the church so that you're not acting like the church, nor are you competing with them, nor are you ignoring them, but you become a porch for the church, but also a vehicle for the church to serve the world? Does the church support you guys in meaningful ways and equip and help? What's the relationship there?
Look, I've been very impressed with the relationship.
Because you didn't come from this background.
No. This is the first time I've been involved in a school, in a Christian school that has a direct connection with the church.
Because Bundy was independent, I think you said.
Correct, yeah. We had relationship there with the pastors from lots of different churches, like we do here as well, but not just that specific ministry of a church. And that's something that the church has been very intentional about, making sure that, hey, the school and the church, there has to be that alignment and that commonality and that shared component. So
the well done, good and faithful servant is shared between the two, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's right. It's a cornerstone of the church and the school. In terms of that intentionality component,
how do you make the relationship work both directions?
Well, like friendship, it's around making sure that there's great communication between myself and the senior pastor, but then also the church, those in the church as well. There's a lot of crossover anyways. They're just across the car park. We have classrooms. We have classes over there.
Yeah, we just did the PD in one of the kids' rooms.
Correct, yeah. And so it's a great use of the shared resource. It's amazing how many parents are not of faith, but they want their children to have an understanding of faith. And we've got a number of families where the children will come to youth on a Friday night here at the church, but they won't come to church as a family. But that message of the stories and the Christian message that they're hearing from school, then they're going to youth.
So it's reinforced.
It's coming back into the family home. And so there's a great connection there. I'm really excited by seeing what happened. Our youth have just come back from youth camp in the holidays. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's impacted them to then how do they bring that back into school life as students.
Yeah, so the church forming young people also brings a passion and a witness and a vitality to faith back into the school.
Yeah.
Are there other ways that the church serves the school? Because like I've been in church land. I say that it's a certain language set there, but church land often is the inverse of Ephesians 4:11, which Ephesians 4:11 says that the pastors, the teachers, are there to equip the whole people of God to do the whole ministry of God where they are, which is centrifugal to go. But quite often in a busy church or a large church, it can be the pastors are there to provide clergy-led initiatives that everyone else is there to support.
Yes.
And we're glad that we've got a school that sends people to us, as opposed to we're equipping all your teachers and sending to you. So how does the church support what you do as an expression of mission?
There's a couple of ways. Certainly from a chaplaincy perspective, there's a really great connection there in terms of, and then also youth pastor and kids pastor being involved in chapel life and school life as well. One thing I really appreciate is every Tuesday morning in our devotions, there is someone from the church, one of the pastors comes over just to encourage us with a 5 to 10 minute word, which is great. And then they're probably the more explicit and intentional components. Obviously, there's church. There are church people on the board of the college as well. But in terms of that connection, I love coming to church, coming to school during the week, and then on Sunday when I go to church, seeing the pastors' kids who've been at school and at church, and that aspect where it's all on that one site, and it just works.
It feels synergistic
really
as opposed to competitive or compartmentalised.
And even the number of families that have moved to the suburb that the church and the school are in, you walk down the streets and it's just, hey, there's a Calvary family. When you say Calvary family, whether people are saying it's the church or the school, it's just Calvary. That's just who we are.
I've noticed that twice already. I mean, the guy at the Long Shot Cafe knew about the school and asked quite freely and didn't seem guarded about that, knowing it's a Christian school. The hotel that I was staying at, the person on the front desk just asked, have you got a busy day ahead? And I said, I'm going over to Calvary. And she's like, it's a great school. It does a great job with the kids. And I'm like, oh, wow.
It's got a
good reputation.
Yeah.
What a witness. That's awesome. Yeah, so let's switch gears and talk about experimenting. In a time of rapid change,